Hey guys, it's Jimmy from A Kid's Opinion, and about an hour ago, I got back from watching A Quiet Place Part 2 in the theaters, and I enjoyed the first movie, and I think COVID hit, about, exactly a week before A Quiet Place Part 2 was scheduled to be released, and now 14 months later, now, I decided to go watch it, because school just ended, and why not? Um, it would be a great way to kick off summer. And let's talk about it. So let's start off with the good. And the opening, there will be spoilers in this. The opening flashback scene. I'm happy that John Krasinski was still in this, even though he does die in the first one. Yeah. And I'm happy that he found a way, because he wrote this. He found a way to bring himself back, because he was I like this character in the movie. In the first movie. So, and this opening flashback scene found it was still intense, and from the very beginning of it, you were interested in what was going on, and the atmosphere was just very tense, and you also felt bad because you know what happens with the monsters and how the family kind of gets torn apart, and seeing them living their life, having fun, and knowing what's gonna happen is kind of sad. And the intensity in this movie, oh my gosh, just like the first one. There are some super intense scenes in this, just like throughout the movie, from the beginning to the end. Um, and yeah, and the creativity in this is also very good. Because there's just multiple times in the movie, so the family splits up, and a new character named Emmett goes with the daughter Reagan. They're gonna go try and kill all the monsters. Well, weaken them, let's say. Um, and so it splits them up. And there's scenes where they're showing Reagan, and then it goes to and it goes to the rest of the family with Evelyn. What's the son's name? Jacob. I can't remember the son's name. I'm just gonna So the son, they go to Evelyn, the son, and the new baby, who I actually don't know the name of, and they show them, and it's intense, and you don't really notice that they're switching scenes, and it's very well done. And there's another scene that I'll talk about in a little bit, where they're at this boat dock, and they're at this dock, and then it's almost like pirates come up to them, and it's another intense scene, but they kind of call back to something that happened earlier in the movie, and how the whole scene is done is very creative. The creatures in this are still creepy. They aren't any less creepy as they were in the first one. You also get to learn that they can't swim, so it's another weakness, and the creatures are still scary. It's not like what I'm terrified that this franchise will turn into is Nightmare on Elm Street, or the Tremors franchise, where it starts off with serious movies. Well, Tremors wasn't very serious from the beginning, and it turns into slapstick comedy off the wall. I don't want that to happen. And this movie kept it the same. The creatures were still scary. Cillian Murphy, his character in this, I didn't know it was Cillian Murphy until his character was Emmett. I didn't know it was him until I saw the credits. So I'm kind of disappointed in myself for that. His character was good. They let him have these this relationship with the daughter as well. Not his daughter, Lee's daughter, who's played by John Krasinski. Where she doesn't really like him at first, and then he almost has a character arc where he starts to realize I have to do something. I wasn't able to do enough. His kids died right away, and his wife died, and he wasn't able to do anything about this. And eventually he gets convinced by the daughter to he has a chance to do something important and that will help a lot of people. He's got to take that chance. And I really like that. And the pirate dock scene that I was talking about before with the pirates and at the dock, super intense, super creative, and you see the monsters coming out, the creatures very scary as well. The scene was very intense, and it kind of shows that people the people in this world are not nice either. It's not like where they band together to help each other. No, no, no. It's almost like survivors take all in a sense. I'm sorry, I still got popcorn. I was eating a lot. Still got some popcorn in my throat. Yeah. Like there was still like that scene and how that scene ties in with like I was talking about before with Evelyn and them, the rest of the Abbott family back at Emmett's like hideout. There was an intense scene where it flashes back and forth, where the mom is like going back and then to get oxygen, and the kids are running out of oxygen because he accidentally sealed them in, and there's like almost a flood, and the creature has them cornered, and even the whole thing after that just keeps getting more and more intense, and this scene is like the starter of it. And I really like how the scene is done. It's very creative, and it really elevated the movie. When I think back to movies sometimes I can think of like one scene or a moment. This is the scene I think back towards. And I'm happy I think back towards it because it's the highlight of the movie for me. And the ending of this is still intense as multiple things are going on, and you're wondering, like, from the opening scene of the first movie, it is established that that movie and this franchise is not afraid to kill off kids and not afraid to kill off likable characters, as we can tell with John Krasinski's Lee being killed off in the first movie. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of the characters got, like, there was a moment where I thought the daughter might die, Reagan, but like she didn't, and yeah, but it was still intense. Anything could happen, especially when they do it from her point of view. You don't know exactly what's going on, and there are some scenes like the ending where that is perfectly utilized, where she has some disadvantages because she cannot hear. And just like that whole ending is like very exciting and intense, and it happens to be perfect timing right where Reagan is able to connect her earpiece to the radio to like fluster all of the zombies or weak zombies. Yeah, I've been on a zombie phase lately. The weaken of creatures, in a sense, and Emily Blunt like takes advantage of it, and it was the son actually that took advantage of it and shot the creature. And it's very satisfying, and it leads up to a third movie. And like I'm excited for that because it's almost gonna be like now they're gonna like band together, and like now that they have these zombies flustered, where yeah, so part one, the end was they found a way to like weaken the zombies, and now the end of part two is like their plan is in place. They've done everything they need to do to like weaken the zombies, and now they're gonna go out. It's like this 3-part. It's like it's this trilogy, and it's all kind of one story tied together, kind of. And let's go into the mixed because this movie is not perfect. The mix is the story. So the story, they were able to open like a lot of new doors. Is why it's in the mix. They were able to do a lot of creative things, but I'm not really on board. At first, I wasn't really on board for some reason with trying to destroy the creatures. Trailers did a great job not giving any of that stuff away. I thought it was just gonna be the Abbott family and maybe this new character Emmett going from like traveling through the world trying to survive the zombies. And even though I was a little bit disappointed with that at first, and I will bring up, there were some boring parts in here. I'll bring that up in a sec. And I think that is kind of creative by the story, but I do kind of like that they went in a creative direction. But it did bring up some boring scenes, and that's why it's in the mixed. The story element is in the mixed. And yeah. So in the bad, I'm gonna have to say, like, there were some boring scenes in this movie. Yes, there were some boring scenes in this movie, and it mainly came from the daughter and Emmett There are two characters. As much as I did like them advancing, there were some parts of the movie that I thought were a little bit boring and needed, to pick up the pace a little bit. But that was only a little bit. And before I watched this, I don't know why I did it. I was looking through reviews, and sometimes it interests me to see negative reviews, there's this one person who posted a very, he gave him 1 star out of 5. And I think I gave it a 5 out of 5. That may show you where this, rating is gonna go. But he gave it a 1 out of 5, and pretty much what this person was saying was, like, a terrible movie, one of the top 3 worst movies I've seen in my life. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know how old you are, and I also don't know how many movies you've seen, but top 3 worst movies you've seen in your life. And I think the comment finished by saying, nothing like the first one. I am confused for how that is. Because my negative with this being some boring scenes, that's how I felt in the first one. And he said nothing like the first one. This movie was kind of like the first one, more creative. It wasn't like a completely tonal change. I'm not exactly, if there is a lot of criticism coming out after this movie, I will be surprised with some of that. People saying it's so much worse than the first one. Because my main negative I had with the first one, I would rate this pretty close to the first one. I actually think it's better than A Quiet Place Part 1. Mainly because I do like the very creative direction that this movie went in. So, yes, I would give this movie an 8.9 out of 10. Because I don't find it as, no. I am changing my mind. I'm giving it a 9.1 out of 10. Because, yeah, I was about to say this isn't as rewatchable, but it's a short movie. It's not going too long or anything. It knows what it is. And while there are some boring scenes in there, it's appropriate for this movie because it has these creatures that can't hear, therefore characters cannot talk as much. But a very good movie. I recommend you definitely watch this movie. Watch the first one first, and then watch A Quiet Place Part 2. Yes, I definitely recommend it. I give it a 9.1 out of 10. Okay, so yes, please like and subscribe. Comment in the comment section, give me suggestions on how to improve my channel. Please give me recommendations on movies and TV shows to talk about, rank, review. I'm Jimmy from My Kid's Opinion, and be good people.